under the Iron Curtain in the Soviet bloc and the satellites, let's say also in Czechoslovakia. Actually to get like blue jeans, the blue jeans was like a symbol of freedom, like the US prosperity, the Western prosperity. And it was like very kind of expensive or hard to get like blue jeans, you would have to, we had like special kind of shops, they were called like tuzeks, and you would have to like get some it was like you would need to have like some hard currency, or you would need to have some kind of like permission or something to even like shop there. It wasn't like first of all, it was like very expensive, and second of all, it wasn't like for everyone. It was like and then you have like all like this gray market or black market. And so I mean, to just like now you think it's kind of silly, but like even to get blue jeans, it was like very difficult. And not only in the Soviet bloc, but let's say also I read somewhere like that also like in India or in other places, it was like, okay, blue jeans is like the symbol of prosperity. And now, what Balaji means by this saying that the orange coin is the new blue jeans is like the Bitcoin as the orange coin is now the symbol of prosperity.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mtambo podcast. My name is Mtambo, and the following is a conversation with Jakub Simek, a co-founder of Se2 and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. In today's episode, I'll be talking with Jakub Simek about his article, Orange Coin is the New Blue Jeans, under the daily Balajisms series. Now, dear friends, here is Jakub Simek. Jakub, thank you for joining me again today.
Hi, Duke. It's great to see you, and I'm happy that we are doing this season 2 together.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure seeing you on Mtambo podcast. So we are going to dive deep into the topic of Bitcoin and the current state of traditional financial system. I want to start with the quote from Balaji Srinivasan, who recently said, "We are all Bitcoin maximalists now." What do you think about that statement?
Yeah, like he says like he himself is not a Bitcoin maximalist, but like we are all Bitcoin maximalists now because of this TradFi winter or this central bank crisis that actually could even be the Fiat crisis at the end, a Fiat crisis because of all if the trend of de-dollarization continues, we might all kind of be getting on the Bitcoin lifeboat soon, so like it has a potential to get many more people into crypto, and Bitcoin is the flag of technology, and it's also the flag of crypto. It's like Balaji mentions, people like regular people, sometimes they ask like, which Bitcoin should I buy? Bitcoin has such a strong brand, and it's also like it has a unique like inception story, and a very strong passionate community with some members maybe being toxic, but like these times you need like passionate people. So therefore he said this quote.
That's a very interesting point. Balaj also talked about the concept of Schelling point, which is a focal point in the game theory that actors will choose to cooperate around absent communication. Do you think Bitcoin can serve as a Schelling point for the whole freedom-loving left or right libertarian and crypto movement?
Yeah, I think so. It could be even conservatives, because like some people perceive it, like you have even in the US elections, you had some candidates that were like for God and Bitcoin, So it's like, I mean, generally it's more like more freedom loving or more libertarian types. And either more like left wing or right wing, doesn't matter, but it's people who kind of see crypto as continuation of these like Western ideals, sure, but like it could be even like conservatives, because it's like the Bitcoin lifestyle. It's kind of it's the oldest, it's the OG cryptocurrency, the oldest one, and it's also like it's kind of like a simple lifestyle of like saving money, not trusting like too complicated contracts, or kind of like not trusting the traditional financial institutions, and kind of like doing your own research, and even like prepping maybe, so yeah, it could be conservatives as well, and it's definitely also liberal in a sense of classical liberalism, because it's continuation of Western values. So yeah, and the Schelling point is like it's a point where, yeah, absent information, what is the most likely place the people would meet, like in your town, in your city. So let's say if the two people didn't have mobile phones for some reason, they both lost them, and they were stolen, and now they have to meet somewhere. So where would they meet? It's like the place they know the best, or where the other person most likely would be in that city. So I don't know, in London it would be like a Big Ben or Piccadilly Circus, or in Vienna it would be like Stephan's Dome. Like a place where it's like some kind of monument that is the most known, and maybe you would choose like 12 o'clock in the in the noon time as a time. So that's kind of just like a metaphor of a Schelling point. And yeah, and for crypto and for Web3, it's definitely Bitcoin. But even for technology, it's Bitcoin. Like if you are like technologically progressive, then you kind of understand crypto at least a little bit. And yeah, and this is like the flag of technology is Bitcoin as well. I mean, now we have like crypto winter, so people are kind of crazy about AI, and you have AI summer, but it can change. There could be like attempts to regulate AI, centralize AI, so you would have like a AI winter, but so you have these kind of cycles. But definitely Bitcoin is yeah, the flag of crypto, and also the flag of technology.
I think I agree with you. That's a very good point, because Bitcoin has become a rallying point for the crypto movement. And it's also starting to gain traction among people who are disillusioned with the traditional financial system. The fact that Bitcoin is decentralized and operates outside of the traditional financial system makes it a very attractive option for people who are looking for a way out. But Balaji Srinivasan also mentioned that many coins can coexist and serve various purposes. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, he says like on the other side, now we are all Bitcoin maximalists, so because you have to unite around like one Schelling point, one flag of Bitcoin, and get on the lifeboat, like meaning like, yeah, start saving and put some of your savings into Bitcoin. The amount you are comfortable with. It could be 5%, 10% of your income or wealth. It's like this is not a financial advice. It's for educational purposes only. But like yeah, something like, imagine, I mean, as the saying goes, the future is here, but it's not evenly distributed. So like there are places where Bitcoin is used today, like let's say in Lebanon or Venezuela, to actually make ends meet. So it's for many years already, or a couple of years already. So and as Balaji also says, but also kind of shows with some graphs, arguments, tables, like hyperinflation, or like kind of economic catastrophe or something can happen quite quickly. It can be within a couple of months.
Yeah.
Of course, it can also take decades. It's like that's the counter argument is like that there is a great deal of ruin in the nation, said Adam Smith. But another like counter argument to this counter argument is what Balaji calls the digital death, because now we are very online and people can coordinate online, and institutions like Silicon Valley Bank can and did experience the digital death, but even Credit Suisse, which is like the systematically important bank, also experienced digital death very recently. So in this central bank crisis, as Balaji calls it. So yeah, I mean, it's not only about like some kind of like ideological kind of posture, or that you don't like traditional banks, so you have to vote with your wallet, and also with your feet maybe, and you choose like a crypto friendly jurisdiction and you buy into Bitcoin. But it's also like it will become a practical issue at the end. It will or it might become a very practical issue of just like, paying with Bitcoin Lightning, for or sending money to your closed ones. If the traditional banking fails you, and the fiat system fails you, you have an alternative, and which is crypto in general, and Bitcoin as a digital gold in these times. Yeah, and so sorry, but what Balaji meant with this is like, I mean, on the other side of this transition, you would also need something like a financial system. So he thinks it will be like Ethereum as the most likely candidate, and some layer twos. And we are working with Solana, which is like a bit cheaper kind of version, considering the lower fees and maybe more suitable for like our use cases than Ethereum, and so especially if you are working like with, I don't know, student startups, or with in the ascending world context, maybe Solana is more practical. So like definitely we are also Bitcoin maximalists now, but I don't think that we will kind of completely abandon other
Solana.
cryptocurrencies, because I mean,
So we can
smart
call
contracts
ourselves
are interesting.
polynumist.
Yeah. As Balaji says, he's a polynumist, so he believes in many coins.
Okay, well, that's a very interesting point, Jakub. Balaji also talked about the idea that social media is American glasnost, and cryptocurrency is American perestroika. What do you think about that?
Yeah, right. So it's like in the final days of the Soviet Union. I mean, they didn't know it's the final days. It's like they thought it will continue for another 1,000 years or something. But Gorbachev, he came up with these like two terms. Like glasnost was meant for something like a reform that allows more free speech, and perestroika would allow like freer markets, like more kind of like private enterprise. But like these kind of reforms actually broke the old establishment, or the Soviet bloc, because it was kind of too fragile already, and tired, and like economically uncompetitive. And once you got these reforms, and then people just wanted more of it. They wanted more free speech and more and freer markets, and you can't stop this kind of like progress, and this kind of like decentralization, we would say today. So this was in the 80s, and then we got the 90s and the end of the Soviet Union. And and we got independent, like countries like Czechoslovakia and then later Slovakia. So it was it was a turbulent, chaotic period. Also it was very chaotic for Russia and Russian Federation. but yeah, and very traumatizing as well, so and some countries did better, some countries did not so good, or they went kind of sideways, but overall yeah, it was yeah, I mean, it was a difficult period, but like many countries are much better now. Like Estonia, look like how they were even in the 90s. They became like the digital, the digital state. Like a network state predecessor. Like even in they were very early into the digitization, and also they have like founders like the founder of Skype, and yeah, I mean, so and yeah, even if you look at like Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, yeah, there are many like skilled like software engineers there, and so yeah, I mean, it's okay. So this was in the 90s, okay, and now Balaji talks about social media as glasnost, because they are actual like he calls it like super democracy, meaning like everybody has a voice. It's just like sometimes it's chaotic, and it's like there is a lot of noise, and or more noise than signal. But it's actually, this is how it looks like when people get their voice, because like before you had free speech, but it was only for people who can get a license, like a media license, and it's just you had like 3 TV stations in the US back in the 1950s. It was just like prohibitively expensive to run, like, I don't know, to create your own newspaper. Now you can be a kid and run a blog or a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
you could be even like a coding influencer when you are like 6 year old on Replit. So it's like a crazy times, and of course the old establishment and the elites don't like it, but then you have also counter elites who support this technological progress and technological progressivism. So this is a glasnost, like more free speech thanks to social media. And perestroika, as Balaji says, it's the cryptocurrency is today's perestroika. So it's like again, it's like the rule of code. So it's not just the rule of law, but the rule based order. Like the number one rule of the rules based order is that the US is making the rules. So it's like so, but this is like global and open protocols. So again, it's like a rule of code. It's not just like you can be deplatformed, let's say from the dollar, and your assets frozen, your central bank assets frozen. So, but this is like, yeah, it's a global and open blockchain protocols, or protocols like the internet, is global and open so far. We hope it to stay that way as long as possible. And yeah, and then it actually, even Balaji says that this is like the global trade didn't start or didn't happen before blockchains in reality, because now you can have like a really like peer-to-peer relationships, like let's say you create a DAO like on Ethereum or on Solana, and it doesn't matter if you are like from India, from Kenya, from Slovakia, but you have like this global it's like a global protocol, like an
Yeah.
email is a global protocol. And so, but because before you would go through some kind of intermediaries and some third countries, so let's say you would use dollar in a trade between two countries, like two Asian countries, but they would use dollar. Or if you like Balaji uses an example, if you are like a Brazilian company investing in China or I don't know, Indonesia, you would go through some another country like where you would like create some kind of special purpose vehicle for this investment. So yeah, I mean, it's something like when you wanted to invest in China, you would go through Hong Kong, or if you wanted to invest in India, would go through Mauritius or something like that. So, but now you can go like truly peer to peer, or many people when they were starting startups, they would go through Delaware, they would go through Silicon Valley, but now you can do it peer-to-peer. So that's what he means perestroika. So I mean, it's also like nice how he puts it, like like nice kind of words and ideas. Like it's good. He's good at making memes, but it's also with Balaji is always like supported or supported with facts and with like arguments and with lots of graphs. So. It's not just like it's very early for crypto. So some people think like, okay, this is just crazy talk, but actually he always, when he makes an argument, he comes up with some facts, with some graphs to support it. So
citations.
and citations.
Okay. I think that's a good point. He also wrote about orange coin is the new blue jeans. What does that mean?
Yeah, okay, so like in the Soviet Union, or more generally in under the Iron Curtain in the Soviet bloc and the satellites, let's say also in Czechoslovakia, actually to get like blue jeans, the blue jeans was like a symbol of freedom, like the US prosperity, the Western prosperity. And it was like very kind of expensive or hard to get like blue jeans. You would have to we had like special kind of shops. They were called like tuzeks, and you would have to like get some it was like you would need to have like some hard currency, or you would need to have some kind of like permission or something to even like shop there. It wasn't like first of all, it was like very expensive, and second of all, it wasn't like for everyone. It was like and then you have like all like this gray market or black market. And so I mean, to just like now you think it's kind of silly, but like even to get blue jeans, it was like very difficult. And not only in the Soviet bloc, but let's say also I read somewhere like that also like in India or in other places, it was like, okay, blue jeans is like the symbol of prosperity. And now, what Balaji means by this saying that the orange coin is the new blue jeans is like the Bitcoin as the orange coin is now the symbol of prosperity. Like of places like, let's say, you have places like Singapore, Dubai, El Salvador, who are embracing crypto. And and you have also like people who, okay, they already have the blue jeans, so but they are like they see and I think rightly so, they see that the crypto, as Balaji says it, the crypto is to the US what America once was to Europe, like a new frontier and a new opportunity to exit to. And it's like the ideals of freedom, financial prosperity, some kind of independence, and so are met in Bitcoin.
Okay. These at times are different from the global financial crisis of 2007. But Balaji believes that we are lucky that this time Satoshi gave us Bitcoin as direct reaction to the previous banking system. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, exactly like Satoshi in the Genesis block, of Bitcoin, there was the reference to the financial crisis of 2008. So he was like, Bitcoin is not just like technological breakthrough, but it's also like social technology. So there is like the technical truth and social truth, and you have like a spectrum, and Bitcoin is somewhere in the middle, according to Balaji. But it's also like ideological from the very beginning. So it's like it proposes an alternative to the financial system. It reverses or inverts premises. So it's like saving is good, deflation is good, especially like if it's even hyper-deflation is good when it's like technologically driven. Self-custody is good, like many things that were and like predictable money supply. It's good. So it's also ideological, and it provides an alternative. And the use case emerging here is digital gold. And it, as Balaji talked on a podcast with Robert Breedlove, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, $1 million, then it will become a kind of de facto global government. The global government nobody expected, So it's kind of like a libertarian global government in a way that it's like the ungovernable governor of governments, because it's like they would need to restrain their budgets, and actually it might help with a more peaceful international relations and societies, because you can't print money just like to wage some kind of like silly wars, but you have to you are constrained with through like with Bitcoin, and so that's like one way. And then there is another. Jason Lowry has a like kind of a similar take on this, like how Bitcoin is also like projection of power, and how basically decentralized electric grid is like a base layer of like a new type of computer, and because of the proof of work, people and not just people but also governments will like engage in power projection through Bitcoin. So it's like a virtual abstraction or virtualization of this, like, let's say, conflict and violence, but it's virtualized and abstracted into like this kind of global computer that is Bitcoin, and also Bitcoin mining. So it's also another kind of viewpoint there. But like getting back to the orange coin as being the new blue jeans, I think this is kind of for more and more people, it's becoming like the symbol of freedom and prosperity.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jakub, for sharing your thoughts on these important issues. It was great having you on our podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, Duke. Take care. See you soon.
See you soon to my brother. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed listening to Mtambo Day's podcast, don't forget to subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Duke Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.